On the eve of Night of Champions, WWE was in Riyadh for Smackdown. As you could tell, it is not even 5 o'clock in the afternoon here on the East Coast. And what I did was what many people did, which was use my trusty VPN to watch the show, which was airing at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Netflix in other places like Canada, which is where I became an honorary citizen of today when I connected to a Canadian server. And that is where I watched SmackDown. And I was very hopeful when they opened the show with Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. I've been waiting for this match for a long time. And this was announced on very short notice because Cody only qualified for the finals of the King of the Ring on Monday. So technically this match isn't even, it hasn't even been on the books for a week. And we're finally getting our first Cody Rhodes Randy Orton match. So I was looking forward to seeing a face-to-face between the two of them here on this show. That's how we were going to kick things off. And it didn't quite go as planned because after Cody Rhodes comes out and Randy Orton comes out, Randy is about to speak. All of a sudden, the feed cuts out. And I'm watching a screen that says, "We'll be right back." Yeah, I think of those old television sitcoms from the 1980s when they would go to commercial and you'd have that one screen, "We'll be back after these messages." Only they never came back. Or at least they did eventually come back, but not for over half an hour. And I did not get to see Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton have their face-off on this show. Marquand says, Lance Storm approves you, Solomonster. I hope Lance is one of my favorite Canadian citizens. So I would hope he approves me. Yeah, this was a very weird show because the feed went out and took away what may have been one of the better segments on the show. When they came back, they just moved on. And the segment in the building actually didn't happen unless they did something after they went off the air. So they could splice it into the USA Network feed, which is airing later on at 8 o'clock. They just sent them to the back after a while, and the show moved on. So that was a hell of a way to kick off SmackDown here. They open with Cody and Randy, but they close with John Cena and CM Punk. And to just illustrate to you how weird this episode of SmackDown was, after everything I just said, right? This is the image that we got in the closing segment on SmackDown tonight. This is a real image, okay? This is not AI generated. This is CM Punk dressed up as the Doctor of Thugonomics, or as they were calling him here on the show, the Doctor of Punkonomics. I feel like this would be one of those Duff's Vids or Sidro jokes that they drop. And then I would play this sound effect. It's always a little "you suck" there at the end that gets me. I'm looking at this and like my jaw drops as I see this. But he was giving it back to John Cena after John Cena stole his pipe bomb on the show last week. This was CM Punk's revenge here. He was going to come out and mock John Cena and dress up as John Cena from his Word Life phase over 20 years ago. If I tell you how ridiculous this man looked walking out here, I had a good laugh. I have to say this. I was entertained. Maybe not in the way that they intended for me to be entertained. I was entertained in a so bad it's good kind of way when I saw him walk out dressed up like this. But this is what they had in store when it came to the final ever face-off between John Cena and CM Punk. That's what we had here in the closing segment on this show. Now we move ahead to tomorrow, where they will wrestle one last time for the WWE Championship. We had a last woman standing match. I still can't get over that image. Punk in the backwards ball cap and, word life. My God, he had quite a week, and we'll get back to Punk here in a second. But we had a last woman standing match on this show for the WWE Women's Championship. Tiffany Stratton putting her title on the line against Nia Jax. I thought there would be a Money in the Bank cash in. I really did. I thought there was a real good shot at it. They certainly teased the hell out of it. Once they flat out mentioned the possibility earlier in the show, I knew it was dead. Once they said it, I knew it wasn't going to happen. And I knew that in hour one. But coming into the show, I thought there was a chance. We did not get a cash in tonight. It was never official. She tried to, but it was never made official. The bell never rang. Tiffany Stratton is still your WWE Women's Champion with her win over Nia Jax. We also had a WWE Tag Team title match with the Street Profits defending their titles against the Wyatt Six. And we have a new United States Champion on the women's side. I think we're going to have a new United States Champion on the men's side tomorrow as well. We have a brand new Women's United States Champion in the form of GIULIA, who wins her first main roster title with a win over Zelina Vega here on this show. But I'm sort of burying the lead here. I'm telling you all these different things that happened on the show tonight, and I'm leaving out the most important part, which is that it was confirmed that there's been a lot of rumor and will they or won't they? Is SmackDown going to go back to 2 hours? Oh, no, wait, it might stay 3 hours. I saw Meltzer now the other night. Oh, I'm hearing it might stay at 3 hours. Yeah, good job there. So we're hearing all these different reports. I thought it was supposed to go back to 2 hours on June 6th. It didn't. Then we were hearing stuff about Independence Day next week. We can wonder no more. We can wonder no more because Michael Cole flat out told us, he confirmed here on the television show multiple times here, I say tonight, it's still the afternoon, but we'll say tonight, that next Friday, SmackDown returns to 2 hours. But not only does SmackDown return to 2 hours next week, SmackDown reverts back to 2 hours next Friday and each and every Friday thereafter. That is an appropriate chant. Had they piped that into the building, I would have been very disappointed if the fans didn't break into a yes chant. They may not break into a yes chant. I'll break into a yes chant. It's about fucking time that this show goes back to 2 hours, especially after the show that they gave us here. Frankly, even with the outage, with the outage, this was not a good show. This was not a good show. It had its moments, but certainly at 3 hours, or 2.5, I guess. If you forget the first 30 minutes, that didn't happen. I didn't like this episode, and this just illustrated to me why I am so happy that this show is going back to 2 hours. And going back to 2 hours in and of itself doesn't automatically mean that SmackDown's going to be great every single week, but it's a step in the right direction, right? Baby steps. It's a step in the right direction. This show, I mean, this was a struggle, okay, to sit through this show. And it's not even like it's all that late. I'm watching the show. I'm watching wrestling in the middle of the day, and it was a struggle to get through this show. But yes, we don't have to wonder anymore. SmackDown next Friday, back to 2 hours. My prayers have been answered by the wrestling gods. Now, I mentioned CM Punk. He had a very eventful day. He had a very eventful trip so far in Saudi Arabia, and we're not even at Night of Champions yet. Forget the image I showed you earlier of what he did on the actual show. CM Punk, the big news of the day is that CM Punk apologized to the fans in Saudi Arabia for past comments that he made that upset a lot of people and upset other people as well when they found out that he was going to Saudi Arabia, and they called him a hypocrite, corporate punk, Mr. TKO. So they had a kickoff event for Night of Champions earlier today. And when he came out on stage, he got a mostly negative reaction from the fans that were in attendance there. And one of the fans in the crowd was a gentleman by the name of Muhammad, who asked Punk to apologize for his 2020 tweet where he told The Miz, this was after The Miz made a very tongue-in-cheek comment on that old WWE Backstage show on Fox Sports. And Punk responded in a totally rational way, of course, by going on Twitter at the time and quote tweeting the clip and saying, and I quote, telling The Miz to go suck a blood money covered or a blood covered dick, I think is what it was, a blood covered dick in Saudi Arabia, I believe is how he phrased the tweet at the time. Which, considering what Miz had to say on the show, was certainly not a response that was warranted. I mean, that was a little over the top, I would say. And Miz had always considered Punk a friend, and obviously at that point, Miz is probably thinking to himself, what the hell did I do, right? But Punk was just mad at the world for many years. And there were many friends he had in WWE that he fell out of touch with, in the years after he left the company. So Punk responded to this at the press conference, and he said, I woke up and I was crabby, and I wrote a mean tweet to The Miz, and I apologized to The Miz, and, sir, what's your name? The guy told him, he said, Muhammad, I sincerely apologize to you, and I love Saudi Arabia. And it was unbelievable, because when this man came out, he was booed. After he apologized, they started chanting his name. It's like a switch got flipped. And just like that, CM Punk won over all the fans, and maybe not all of them, but most of the fans at the event anyway, in Riyadh. Now, it's worth noting, Punk did apologize to The Miz privately. Remember when he popped up backstage 2 years ago? He was still working for AEW at the time, but this was in the months after Brawl Out. And there was talk about him coming back, and they were going to build Collision around him. It was around that time that WWE was in Chicago. If I remember correctly, I think he had flown down to Florida for a meeting with Chris Jericho. I don't think the Bucks were there. It was almost like they were trying to mediate things. I think he was on a flight coming back from that. And it just so happened that WWE was in Chicago for Raw. So he was on a flight with somebody from the roster who I think suggested to him, why don't you come to the show and say hello? And so he did. I believe it was then that he met with The Miz for a few minutes. And I think he apologized to him in private, and they were able to smooth things over. And so going back to 2023, things were cool between the two of them. They buried the hatchet. But he continued on here at this event. He said, "I'm not perfect by any means. Sometimes as human beings, we screw up. The beautiful thing is everything is a lesson learned. And now here I am, and you have invited me to your country, and I am grateful to be here. Thank you very much." And they all cheered for him and chanted his name. And after he finished his promo at the event, he did go over to Muhammad and he spoke privately with him, and the two of them hugged. And apparently he also found the little kid. This was another controversy. There was video of him and Randy Orton. They may have been at that WWE World exhibit that they have, but they were walking along, and there was a little kid who just kind of jumped out. I think he had his phone. He wanted to take a picture with Punk, a selfie. And there was a security guy behind Punk who rushed over to move the kid back. But it also, before the security guard came over, it looked like Punk basically just shooed him away, and he just kept walking. And people made a big deal about this. Oh, what a dick, what an asshole. So I believe at the same event, he found the kid, and he went over to the kid and he took a photo with him to kind of make amends for that. Now, would that have happened? Him finding the kid and taking a picture with him, would that have happened if he didn't get all the shit that he got, on social media for it? Who knows? Who knows? As far as him apologizing to the fans, it is worth noting the WWE took this footage. They didn't air it on TV, but evidently they did air it for the fans that were in the arena tonight for SmackDown. So the people in the building, they made sure that they ran that footage of Punk apologizing and praising Saudi Arabia before he came out later in the show for his segment. So was there an ulterior motive to it? Sure, it's entirely possible there is. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'll say that it was genuine, and I'll say that, it was mighty big of him to do it. I see a lot of people getting very upset over it. I would just say this. It's not that serious. It really is. Of all the things that we could bitch about and complain about, I'm sorry. It's not a big deal to me. It really isn't. It's not a big deal to me. There's no reason to get overly upset about the whole thing. If you believe that CM Punk is a hypocrite and you want to call him a hypocrite for backtracking on what you feel he believes in, that's your right to do so. You are absolutely right to feel the way you want to feel if that's how you believe. If you want to applaud him for growing and you believe, this was a genuine apology and people can grow and change, that's fine too. Maybe he did. Maybe he did, and maybe that's how he really feels. I go back to what I told you guys on the podcast last week. When he signed that contract to come back to the company in 2023, he was going to eventually make his way to Saudi Arabia. This company runs multiple events from Saudi every single year. Starting next year, they're going to be running some major shows there, including the Royal Rumble. This company makes $50 million reportedly for every Saudi show they run. Punk is one of their biggest stars. They're not going to Saudi and doing a Royal Rumble or doing a WrestleMania and not having CM Punk on the card if they have him under contract and he's healthy. Of course, he was always going to work Saudi at some point. And if that is how he still really feels, he was going to have to eat his words and swallow his pride and go. I assume that he, genuinely feels the way he felt, and that's why he said what he said, but I can't get in the man's head. I don't know. If you want to criticize him, by all means, go ahead and do so. I'm just saying that I think this basically dies here, and I personally don't really give a shit. I have my opinion of Punk. You have your opinion of Punk. This whole episode, this whole fiasco, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't, color my opinion of him for better or worse, one way or the other. Personally, I just don't really give a shit. This is your Saudi Smackdown review. It is Friday. It is June 27th. I just dropped my pen. June 27th, 2025. I am the Saudi monster here with you this afternoon. Like and subscribe. Super chats are open. I have a feeling, I'm not in my usual time slot here. There's a lot of people that still have not watched SmackDown yet. So it might be a little slow here, but I had a choice. I could just wait until 11:30 at night and go live, or I could do the show early because I was watching the show early. Having now watched the show, ain't no way I'm staying up until almost midnight to first turn around and talk about this show. This show is not worth staying up until almost midnight to talk about it. So, especially with Night of Champions at 1 o'clock in the afternoon tomorrow. And I got a lot of work yet to do for the podcast on Sunday, so fuck that. So you got me early. And I think we have some people here with us who normally don't get to watch live. Got some people in Europe I know who are with us, so hi. Welcome to all you fine folks. Anyway, Super Chats are open. Let me also just mention that I'm going to be live again right back here on YouTube in less than 24 hours because tomorrow, or maybe about 24 hours, because tomorrow is Night of Champions with the final, very likely final match between John Cena and CM Punk, and Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton in the King of the Ring final, and of course Asuka and Jade Cargill in the Queen of the Ring final. So join me live on YouTube as soon as the show is over because I will be here with you on YouTube. We could all hang out together. Wooing! With some wooings. Make yourself some wooings and enjoy Night of Champions tomorrow, or enjoy the standoff stream. I wish I had some wooings right here, but I don't. B. Morris says, let's stream until 12 a.m. Yeah, I don't think so. It's a good idea, but that's a good idea for somebody else, not me. Yes. Shout out to the UK fans, says Mr. E. Yeah, shout out to all the UK peeps. You guys are awesome. All right, well, Michael Cole was filling in for Joe Tessitore because Joe Tessitore did not make the trip to Saudi. So it was Michael Cole and Wade Barrett doing commentary here. Cody Rhodes made his entrance to open the show, and the crowd loudly sang him out to the ring. This crowd was very loud. They were very fired up here at the beginning of the show. They had a podium in the ring with the King of the Ring crown on it, and the fans continued to sing Cody's entrance theme once it stopped playing. And Cody had the mic. He was about to speak, but before he could say a word, he was interrupted by Randy Orton's music. So this is the second week in a row now that Cody was about to say something when he was interrupted by somebody else. So Randy Orton walked out to the ring, and the crowd did the same for him, and they continued to sing his song even after they stopped playing it. And Orton asked the crowd, did you watch Raw on Monday night? And everybody cheered. And then he put over Cody's win over Jey Uso in the King of the Ring final, or semifinal, I should say. And he said that if Cody and Jey are not in the running, he actually said this, if Cody and Jey are not in the running for match of the year, when it comes time for the Slammies, then something is wrong. Now, if you watch my review from Monday, I thought it was a really good match. I enjoyed that main event. Let's not get carried away here. I guarantee you, Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso on Monday night will not be on most people's end of the year match of the year list. It was good, but it wasn't that good. And then at that point, Randy was about to start speaking, and my feed froze. And I said, shit, I have to reconnect with my VPN. Let me log out. Let me log back in. Same screen, right? The screen, it froze at the exact same point. And then at some point, they switched to a different, we'll be back soon screen. Now, I also checked my social media feed, and based on my social media feed, it was very apparent to me very quickly that I was not the only one with this issue, which made me feel good because I knew it wasn't my problem. It wasn't anything on my end. But we got a looping screen with music that I will never forget. This music now is burned into my brain, and the message, "We'll be right back," on the bottom of the screen, which they alternated in different languages. They did, in fact, not come right back. In fact, it was 30 minutes. 30 minutes before they returned. And again, that music is going to haunt me in my dreams. I felt like I was watching Anarchy in the Arena with that music on a loop over and over again. So what it was a feed issue at the arena. It was on site. It had nothing to do with Netflix. It had nothing to do with anything WWE caused. Whatever the issue was, it was local. So everybody who was watching internationally, no matter what country you were in on Netflix, you had the same exact issue no matter where you were. And finally, they restored the feed. And we see Michael Cole and Wade Barrett sitting at ringside. And they're sitting there for a few seconds kind of, I don't know. I don't even know if they knew they were on the air at that point. They weren't saying anything, and they were trying to gather themselves. And Cole apologized for the technical difficulties. Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton were no longer in the ring, right? They were in the ring the last time we saw them, but they came back and there was no Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. Basically, they ended up waiting around for a while. When the feed cut, somebody obviously gave them the sign like, hold up, we're trying to get this fixed. And so they were out there for a while. And the longer it went, Randy Orton started yeeting. He got on the ropes. He started yeeting with the crowd. He was playing to the crowd, doing whatever he could to try to pass the time. Apparently, even the screens in the arena were out. So again, it was an arena issue. By the time they came back, though, they had given up. Cody wasn't there anymore. Randy wasn't there. We never got the segment. It was wiped from the show. And my first thought was, poor Cody. Last week, he comes out and he kept getting interrupted. Randy Orton and Jey Uso and Sami Zayn, they all got to speak. Cody never got to say a word. And the segment was over, and that was it. Cody comes out tonight. He immediately gets interrupted by Randy Orton. Then the feed cuts out. 30 minutes later, they come back. He's gone. If anybody should go heel here, frankly, it's Cody. I mean, the way he's been disrespected over the last 2 weeks, I would just fucking snap if I were him. So Cody never did get to say anything. I am wondering, though, how they're going to work this when it airs later on USA. They're obviously going to fill that 30 minutes in with something. To me, the easiest thing to do, and I don't know if they did this, I haven't checked, would be when the show went off the air, send him back out there, right? Send him back out there in front of the live crowd and just do what you were going to do at the beginning of the show. Take that segment and splice it into the beginning. Maybe there's a reason why they can't do that. Maybe it's not so easy. They got to get the show over to USA to air in a few hours. That would be the most sensible thing to do. Or you just do something backstage with them. You just won't have the benefit of the live crowd. It would be a shame, too, because when they came out, crowd was hot for their entrances and, singing their song and everything like that. That's why I said if there was a way to still salvage that and just kind of do a cut where you cut back and it's the two of them, after the show, but you don't really know it's after the show. So I don't know. It would be a shame if we just get nothing from the two of them because that's one of the second biggest match on the show tomorrow. So we'll see how they're going to work that. I will have to check that out, actually. When it airs later on USA, I'm going to have to check the beginning 30 minutes just to see how they handle this. So now that we're back, we go backstage. The issues are not over yet because Solo Sikoa is in the back talking to JC Matteo about Jimmy Uso and they're going to have a match. So he's telling JC, go out there and remind everybody what it's like to have no backup. Fans in the arena, though, they're chanting, we can't hear you. Because apparently they're not getting the audio of this piped into the arena. So this was a hell of a way to start this show, I have to say. The first 35 minutes, almost 40 minutes of this show was just a complete clusterfuck. So we had Jimmy Uso against JC Matteo, and I understand that it probably isn't their decision. It's a network thing, but still. The audacity of these fucking people. After a 30-minute delay, they finally restore the feed. We're about to get Jimmy Uso against JC Matteo, and 90 seconds into this match, they go to a fucking commercial. I was ready to turn the entire thing off. I was ready to turn the entire thing off and just go stay on Netflix, but just go start watching season 3 of Squid Game, which dropped this morning. I was like, fuck this. I'll watch it later. I'll go live at 11:30. Fuck this shit. I was this close. This show, it's just the beginning of this show up to this point it's unwatchable. Like they come back and it's right to commercial. Like I can't. So they return from break. JC Matteo catching Jimmy Uso after a top rope dive, slams him down. Matteo hit hit Jimmy with a standing moonsault for a near fall. Matteo worked over Jimmy's back with a reverse bear hug. Uso escaped and took down Matteo with a corkscrew from the top rope. So Jimmy started to come back. He couldn't lift Matteo on a Samoan drop attempt. Uso answered with a kick to the face instead. Then he smashed Matteo in the corner with a running hip attack. As Matteo retreated outside, he got caught with a suicide dive from Jimmy. Solo Sikoa's out there, so he grabs Jimmy's leg. Creates that momentary distraction that allows Matteo to recover and put an end to things with the Tour of the Islands. And he gets the 3 count to win the match. This was a nothing match. A nothing match is what this was. Now after, Solo offered a hug to Jimmy. He's like, look, now do you see? All right, you come on home. Come on home to the family. Jimmy refused. He slapped him in the face instead. So this led to a 2-on-1 beatdown until Jacob Fatu ran out to the ring to make the save. The champion caught Matteo with a pop-up Samoan drop and then landed his mighty moonsault. And Uso and Fatu, they then came face-to-face. Tense standoff between these two. Before Jimmy pushed Fatu out of the way, since Solo was coming up behind him and he hit Solo with a super kick. My prediction for tomorrow was that we get a Hikuleo debut, assisting Solo Sikoa in winning the United States Championship from Jacob Fatu. And I'm standing by that. It is also possible, though, that Jimmy Uso will factor into this match in some way, because this is the second week in a row now that we have had some interaction between Jacob and Jimmy. And actually, there was another one later in the show. But the second week in a row that we've had a bit of a tense face-off or stand-down between these two men. So I would expect Jimmy to be involved in some form or fashion. I don't think he's going to suddenly go heel and link up with Solo. But I do think that Solo is going to get some new muscle and that they're going to do a title change, and they should do a title change. And then just have Jacob fight to get the belt back. Otherwise, if you just have him go in there tomorrow and beat Solo, this is over. And I don't get the impression that they're ready to be done with this yet. Backstage, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, they were speaking with the other tag teams in the division. So we had Johnny Gargano and Fraxium, rather. Los Garza, Motor City Machine Guns are all in the back. Ciampa told the other teams that if the Wyatt Six win the tag team titles tonight, none of the other teams would have a chance to win the titles for the foreseeable future. What a vote of confidence in not only the other tag teams in this division, but even in themselves. There's nothing we could do to fight off the Wyatt Six. These men are insurmountable. It's just impossible. If they win the championships, we may as well just pack up and leave and go to AEW. What a vote of confidence here. So Nick Aldis showed up and said, what's the commotion about here? Ciampa continued to rant and rave, and then he and Gargano told Aldis, you should do something about it. And Aldis said that he would, and he waved to somebody off camera. Andrade walked in, shook hands with Aldis, who asked him, hey, would you like to find a tag team partner and have yourselves a tag team match tonight? And Andrade told DIY that he would see them later in the show. We had Zelina Vega defending her United States Championship against GIULIA, the Beautiful Madness. Quizzical One says, happy Friday afternoon, everybody. Yeah, happy Friday, everybody. TGIF. Although that's for all you people who work during the week and have your weekend off. I work during the week and continue to work into the weekend, especially when we have a show at 1 o'clock in the afternoon tomorrow. But for the rest of you, TGIF. So we had another early commercial break.
The best moveset.
Ace Italiano with a 1999 super chat. Ace, thank you very much. I appreciate that, brother. We had another early commercial break here. The show came back with Vega caught in a submission hold. As Vega rolled to the outside, GIULIA followed, but Zelina threw her against the ring steps and then hit a running Meteora. Back inside, Vega went on the attack and countered an attempt at a Northern Lights bomb by GIULIA. And then from the top rope, Vega caught GIULIA with another Meteora for another near fall. So Vega tried to head up top. GIULIA intercepted and then dropped her with a superplex. Zelina was able to recover. She hit a code red, but GIULIA rolled over on the pin so that her feet touched the ropes. So there was a missed moonsault that led to consecutive arrivederci knees by GIULIA, who followed that with the Northern Lights bomb, and that brought GIULIA her very first championship on the main roster. GIULIA wins the title that she claims she did not care about. If you saw the social media promo that they posted a few days ago, which was very good. We had comments from GIULIA, and then we had comments from Zelina. They taped it backstage, I guess, at the show last week because they weren't actually on the show. So this was just on social media, but they showed it again here before their match. And that's what she said in the promo. You know, this championship means everything to you, but not to me. She called it a stepping stone, which it is, right? I mean, typically, like in the past, like the Intercontinental title, the US title, for a lot of people, it is a stepping stone to something bigger. But for her to, in this promo, for her to just outright say, like, in so many words, like, I really don't give a shit about this title. I know it means the world to you, but it doesn't really mean much to me. It's just a formality. I'm going to win it, and eventually I'll be a world champion, is basically what she was saying. It's just wild to hear her say that, but this was the right move. This was the right move. I called it out over a month ago. This is before Giulia even pinned her in that Money in the Bank qualifying match. I said, coming out of that and Money in the Bank, this needs to be Zelina's next challenger now that she's done with the Secret Hervis, you know, and Chelsea Green and all that. Put her in the ring with Giulia and get that title off of Zelina Vega and put that championship on Giulia. And now I'm seeing these reports that Giulia is in line for pretty decent push on the show. Good. Hopefully that will rub off on the United States Championship. If people perceive that the company sees Giulia as a big deal and they treat her like that and they book her as such on the show, it will in turn help make that US title mean more. Zelina tried, and I'm sure being the champion meant a lot to her. I'm sure that was a shoot, you know, what Giulia said in that promo. But her reign was awful. It was awful. I can't put it all on the performer, but it's just that nobody cared. You know, even when she would come out and they would hit her awful music. A lot of people in this company have awful music. Sometimes it's hard to even know when you hear it who the music is for until they walk out. But nobody would care. Nobody would care. So it was time to get this championship onto somebody else. WWE, though, they didn't really give us much of a reason to care about Zelina as champion. With Giulia, though, in line for a decent push, like I said, maybe it'll end up meaning more. So at this point in the show, this is where Michael Cole made the announcement that SmackDown will revert to 2 hours starting next Friday and every week thereafter. And the show next week is taped because the other programming note, Raw is also airing earlier on Monday. That's for everybody. It's airing at 6 o'clock Eastern time. So no VPN for that. It's just airing 2 hours earlier than usual because they're doing a double taping on Monday in Pittsburgh so that the performers don't have to wrestle live on 4th of July. Because next Friday is the 4th of July. So it's going to be a taped 2 hour show next week, but just remember Raw Monday is also airing 2 hours earlier. And so will I. So will I. Basically, everything is being bumped up 2 hours. Usually it starts at 8, it ends at 10:30. I go live at 11. The only difference is on Monday it airs live from 6 to probably 8:30-ish, and I'll be live around 9. So just remember that for Monday. Backstage, Charlotte Flair ran into Alexa Bliss and told Alexa that she doesn't need her as a friend. I don't need friends. Bliss said that she wasn't trying to be her friend, but it wouldn't hurt to be on the same page. She said Charlotte should think of them as allies of convenience. And Flair awkwardly lowered her shades and looked into the camera after Bliss walked away, breaking the fourth wall. Wade Barrett was in the ring after a commercial break as he prepared to interview the 2 participants in the finals of the Queen of the Ring tomorrow at Night of Champions. Jade Cargill, who came out first, and then Asuka. But once both women were in the ring, Barrett asked Jade about what made her so confident that she would be able to beat Asuka. And Jade said that when she sees Asuka, she sees an opportunity to prove why she belongs here. She says she doesn't just plan on taking the crown, she's taking the whole damn throne. That comment drew boos from the crowd. Asuka said that Jade may be strong, but power isn't everything. She said that she has skills and experience. She said that nobody was ready for Asuka. And before Jade could respond, Naomi interrupted with her Money in the Bank briefcase. She said that while Asuka and Jade are fighting for Queen of the Ring, she has all the power. And she teased that, hey, maybe I'll cash in tonight after the last woman standing match, or maybe at Night of Champions tomorrow. Cash in on who exactly at Night of Champions? I'm a little confused by that. She said that she has the power to ruin all of Jade's dreams just like that. And as she walked down to the ring, Jade got frustrated listening to her and pushed past Asuka to go after her. So this rubbed Asuka the wrong way. She laid out Jade with a kick. Naomi got back up on the apron and taunted Jade as she was laid out on the mat. And that was the entire segment. And as I said earlier, Naomi teasing, even just the mere tease, the mere mention on this show, that she might cash in her Money in the Bank tonight, pretty much told you she was not cashing in her Money in the Bank tonight. The crowd, interesting enough in this segment, maybe not surprising, but interesting nonetheless, the crowd was very pro-Asuka, to the point that I'm expecting them to be very anti-Jade tomorrow. I still think Jade wins the crown. Shut the fuck up. Fuck that tree. It is Melee King 6 with a $12 learning tree super chat. We won't cut the tree down tonight. We'll leave the tree up. Sometimes I cut those trees down. I bust out the buzzsaw. I won't do that tonight. Melee King, thank you. I'm going to read all your messages here in a little bit. I have a feeling it's going to be a short segment. I have a feeling we're not probably even doing Be the Booker tonight. And this would probably be a first if we don't. Because Dynamite was dead on Wednesday. So we'll see. We'll see if we do Be the Booker. Where are we? 225 on the likes? Hit or miss. We're more than halfway there, but we're still lagging here. Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce were backstage talking about their plans for the Women's Tag Team Championship when Aleister Black interrupted, and he had something that he wanted to chat about. But before he could, Ron Killings entered and pushed past him. And not only did he push past him, but he kind of looked at him and said, back up. Like he was being disrespectful here. And he was still looking for John Cena after what happened last week. So Aldis said that Cena was here tonight for CM Punk. Killings, though, would have none of it, and he left in search of Cena. Black soon left after that as well, having never gotten that conversation that he was looking for with the GM. So the announcers then, they narrated some highlights of Angel and Berto winning the AAA tag team titles at Triple Mania 2 weeks ago. So they're walking around now with these belts. So they had to at least explain, where did they get these belts from? They had to at least explain that. So we had DIY, and they were up next in the ring against the team of Andrade and his mystery partner. We didn't know who his tag team partner was going to be, but then we found out that it was Rey Fenix, and I said, look at that, he's back. We have not seen Rey Fenix prior to tonight for like 3 weeks. Last time we saw him was Worlds Collide. So finally, we got him back on the show here. This right here was the first truly great thing on the show. Everything up until this point was just nothing. First truly great thing on this show we got here in this tag team match. Andrade backed Ciampa into his team's corner as Phoenix tagged in, and the two of them launched a whole salvo of double team attacks with both DIY members draped over the middle rope. They got rocked by tandem kicks. Up top, Phoenix and Andrade, they flew. They took down Gargano and Ciampa on the floor with stereo dives. And that took us into the commercial break. We returned with DIY on the attack on Rey Fenix. Phoenix, though, created some separation. Before Andrade, though, could get tagged in, Gargano pulled him off the apron. And Phoenix got blasted with a running knee strike to the back of the head by Ciampa. Gargano was outside on the floor because he had been backdropped out of the ring moments before this by Phoenix. And he had a very awkward landing because when he got backdropped over, the stairs were right there. So he tried to avoid the stairs. We couldn't really see because it was on the other side of the ring, but it sounded like or looked like he may have clipped the stairs on the way down, trying to avoid them. On the top rope, Phoenix fended off Ciampa and did his top rope walk. Kicked him square in the face. Andrade finally got the hot tag, and he was a house of fire against Gargano and Ciampa. Andrade caught Gargano's slingshot spear and hit him with an elbow, followed by a reverse tornado DDT. DIY caught Andrade with a shatter machine, but they could not end the match with it. We got another break in the action at this point. We came back with Andrade and Gargano in a standoff on the top rope. Gargano tried to do a rolling power bomb, but Andrade blocked it and hit his running knees in the corner. Phoenix took Ciampa out of the equation with a dive to the outside, which left Gargano and Andrade to duke it out in the ring. Phoenix recovered. He tagged himself in and hit a really cool dive into basically like a flipping dive off the top rope, but into a German suplex on Gargano for a close 2 count. Phoenix lifted Gargano up for a muscle buster as Andrade headed up top. Andrade, though, got pushed off. DIY took advantage and hit their super kick fairy tale ending combo, but Phoenix kicked out at 2. Chaos ensued. Phoenix hit his black fire driver, followed by Andrade sealing the deal with the message. For the 3 count, we were 15 minutes into this match. A hot match here from start to finish. The crowd was into it. Crowd was very loud, which was nice to see. I thought these 4 killed it. I don't know if the plan is for Andrade and Phoenix to see more tag team action together. I hope not. I don't know. It just feels wrong to me when we have Rey Fenix and Penta in the same company, even though they're not on the same brand right now, that you would have really either one of them, but you would have Phoenix, forming a regular team with anybody other than Penta. It just, because at some point we're going to get that Lucha Brothers reunion. So it just feels weird to me if this becomes sort of a regular thing. I mean, they work really well together here. I would like to see them come up with something as a single for Phoenix to do. If they're not going to, then this may be the best idea, right? This may be better than nothing, but it's on them to come up with something for Phoenix to do. And not only something to do, but do consistently. I don't know why he was absent the last 3 weeks. Maybe he was hurt, but now he's back. And we'll see if this is going to become a more regular pairing or not. But it just, I don't know, it just feels weird to me if you're going to pair him up with anybody but his brother. Then they aired the Yin and Yang video package, narrated by Corey Graves, showing the John Cena CM Punk feud from over the years, their long-running rivalry, including their editing of Vince McMahon out of the package. After that ended, they came back to Cole and Barrett at ringside. And Cole said that it would be their honor to commentate the final match here in this long-running series of matches between John Cena and CM Punk. All of a sudden, a man in a black hoodie walked right past the camera in front of them and into the ring, and it was Ron Killings, who did his line again about how he's the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. He again called out John Cena for a fight, but Aleister Black appeared in the ring behind him. So the lights didn't go out or anything like that. They panned back, and there he was. Aleister Black is standing in the ring behind him, and when Truth turned around, he ate a Black Mass kick. And Black took a seat right next to him on the mat, and he said, "I guess in a way, we're even now, Ron." Now, there was a report from PW Insider this week that was encouraging, which is that the company right now is very high on Aleister Black. They've been very impressed and happy with his recent work and his merch sales. And that may be the bigger story here. Because if they're happy with his merch sales, that might actually be better for him than if they were just happy with his in-ring work, right? I'm sure they're happy with a lot of people's in-ring work. But if you can make the money on that merch, that's the best way to get their attention. So we may start seeing him more frequently on these shows, which would be a good thing. In fact, we weren't even done with him yet. There was another segment a little bit later on in the back with him. We had the Street Profits defending the WWE Tag Team Championship against the Wyatt Six. The champions entered first so that the Wyatts could get their elaborate entrance. Oh, God, there it is. There's that Triple H statue. Talk about the stuff of nightmares. We should take the music that played during the feed outage and lay that over that image. Now that is the stuff of nightmares. And just loop that over and over again. Merch sales equals push, says Marquand. More often than not, that's the case. That isn't always the case. I feel like Zack Ryder back in the day sold a bit of merch, but I don't know. His push didn't seem to match up with the amount of merch that he was moving. But more often than not, that is the case. You can show that, but it's a different era now. This is the TKO era. So maybe under the TKO regime, maybe merch sales now are like the most important thing. Either way, it's good for Aleister Black. So like I said, the champions entered first here so that the Wyatts could get their elaborate entrance. And for the first time that I can remember, the Wyatt Six, the lights go out, the Wyatt Six comes out, and their entrance got no reaction. None. Crickets. I was stunned. Usually the entrance is at least what gets a reaction. Maybe the bell rings, then ding, 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 and they don't. But at least the entrance gets a reaction. Their entrance here got no reaction on a show where this crowd, certainly up to this point, I thought was actually pretty loud and pretty responsive to most of the things that we had here on this show. Not everything, but most of the things. So Uncle Howdy took a seat in his rocking chair in the aisle. He was flanked by Eric Rowan and Nikki Cross. Joe Gacy and Dexter Lumis, they hit the ring for the match. The rest of the SmackDown Tag Team division, only a few minutes into this, showed up at ringside. They were like lumberjacks outside. After a break, Ford and Lumis, they took each other down with a double running splash. Both men managed to tag in their respective partners. As Lumis ran across the ring, he got pulled out by Los Garza. And DIY then attacked Angelo Dawkins, which caused the disqualification. And the fans were not happy about this. Mass brawl ensues that Uncle Howdy is sitting there watching, and finally he summons Eric Rowan to the ring. He got taken out, though, by multiple super kicks from Fraxium and the Motor City Machine Guns. Uncle Howdy entered, and he dropped Axiom with Sister Abigail. That got a pop, so that's good. Street Profits went wild with consecutive dives out onto everyone, including Montez Ford doing his trademark over-the-ring post dive in the corner out onto everybody on the floor. In the ring, Ford and Dawkins, they stared down Uncle Howdy. So their issues with the Wyatt Six are not over yet. It is unresolved. A few weeks ago, the Wyatts had a bad match. Gacy and Lumis had a very rough match with the Machine Guns. It just was not any good. This match wasn't bad. It just wasn't all that good either. And part of it was they didn't get a lot of time. They had a very shitty finish. So there's only so much you can do. We didn't get a whole lot, though, before that DQ finish. The big brawl, though, it does illustrate how stacked this tag team division really is, especially when you compare it to what we have on Monday Night Raw. And you've got plenty of teams. And that isn't even all of them, right? Pretty Deadly, one half of Pretty Deadly, I think Elton Prince is out hurt again. So Pretty Deadly is out of the picture for now, but they have plenty of teams. That's not really the issue here. What it really boils down to is where the pieces fit in. And you would hope that there's that one team that can just get hot. I don't know who that's going to be. I mean, based on the reaction they got here on this show, it ain't going to be the Wyatts. And the Street Profits are fine, but I think we need a team to get really hot to where people really want to see them challenge for and win those tag team titles away from the Street Profits, from this current crop of teams. It may end up being the Wyatts by default. They just came back. I'm sure, they're going to get the big push here in this division. They were put into this division for a reason. I'm sure they're going to end up with those tag belts at some point. The Machine Guns they haven't gotten over at a real major level since they debuted. So the crowds I feel like they're mostly cold on the Machine Guns. DIY, it almost depends on what city they're in. And then, so who am I missing? Fraxium. Fraxium hasn't been on the main roster very long. Their in-ring work is what'll get them over. When you put them in the ring and you've got Nathan Frazier flying all over the place like that, they get over pretty easily. So who's going to get hot? I don't know, but the Wyatts, clearly they're building to the Wyatts, I would think, winning those tag belts at some point. Whether or not Uncle Howdy is then going to begin his quest to win singles gold remains to be seen, unless he's content to just sit in his rocking chair every week. Right now, the United States Championship is held by Jacob Fatu. Even if Solo Sikoa wins it, I'm sure Jacob would just win it back. The Bloodline basically has a lock on the U.S. title, and Uncle Howdy is not challenging for the WWE Championship, nor should he be. So I'm not really sure where he goes from here. But it was genuinely surprising, the lack of reaction that their entrance got. Because their entrance is usually the thing that gets the biggest reaction. Outside the arena, I mentioned the Bloodline. Jacob Fatu is shown he's leaving the arena. He runs into Jimmy Uso. I guess Jimmy is he's standing out there. Maybe he was having a smoke. But he bumps into Jimmy Uso, who tells him that tonight, I didn't need your help. Jacob tells him last week, I didn't need your help. Matter of fact, is there a problem here? And Jimmy said, no problem here. It's just respect. I give respect where it's due. And the way that you've been stepping up to Solo, that's something that I should have done a long time ago. Jacob told him that if he gets in where he fits in, then they're going to be all right, Big Jim. And that's just keep it at 100. You feel me? So now they appear to be on the same page now. I guess they're on the same side. Tiffany Stratton against Nia Jax on her final night as Queen of the Ring. Her reign will end tomorrow when they crown a new queen. This was a last woman standing match for the WWE Women's Championship. Nia attacked Stratton before the bell. This is actually the match I was looking forward to the most on this show. We've seen Nia Jax go out there and have some really good television matches and television main events on this show. This feud has been simmering now for I don't know how many months. And with the stipulation, I thought the potential was there for this to be really, really good. Nia attacked Stratton before the bell. Referee rewarded her for this by calling for the bell to start the match. The action spilled outside where Nia hit a Samoan drop to Tiffany on top of the announce desk. She wasn't standing on the announce desk, but basically dumped her on top of it. A few minutes later, with a table set up on the floor outside, Nia laid Stratton on top of it, climbed up on the apron, and just basically fell off with a splash, putting Tiffany through the table. The best part about this, no Slim Jim logos. No Slim Jim in Saudi. We didn't have those gaudy logos all over the table. Stratton barely beat the referee's count back to her feet before 10, heading into a break. Nia pulled out 2 more tables during the break from underneath the ring, and they were being set up, and Tiffany went to go arm herself with a kendo stick. They made their way up the ramp, and Nia tried to run at Tiffany on the stage. She crashed into one of the screens, the LED screen instead, which shorted out. And then the fight made its way back down to the ring. Jax hit Stratton repeatedly with a steel chair. Tiffany was dragged across the ring to the corner. Nia climbed the ropes, and she came off with the Annihilator. And then with the chair draped across Stratton's chest, Nia hit another Eliminator. And with the referee counting her down, Stratton barely made it back to her feet before the 10 count, but then got blasted with a kendo stick. One more table got set up in the ring. Nia hoisted Stratton onto her shoulders, and she began her ascent up the ropes. She was going to give her a Samoan drop from the middle rope. Tiffany was able to fight out of it, ended up power bombing Nia through the table instead. That really was the big bump. Well, actually, I take that back. The big bump was at the end. This was one of the 2 big bumps here in this match. Both women are down. Referee begins his count. Both women make it to their feet at the count of 9. And at this point, Naomi runs down to the ring with her Money in the Bank briefcase. She tries to cash in. Tiffany Stratton, though, intercepts and then hits her with the briefcase. Stratton also hit Nia Jax with the briefcase, and then after stacking Nia on top of Naomi, she followed up with the prettiest moonsault ever, most of which landed on Nia's legs. Jax was still able, though, to beat the count at 9. Stratton fought out of a suplex attempt because there were 2 tables set up outside the ring. And Nia was on the apron. She was going to suplex Tiffany over through the tables, and that didn't work. Tiffany instead went and picked up the Money in the Bank briefcase, which was laying in the ring, and she blasts Nia with the briefcase. And at that point, Nia went flying off the apron backwards through both tables, which did break. And she was unable to answer the 10 count, and Tiffany Stratton wins the last woman standing match and retains her women's championship. Yeah, Brink, yes. R. Brink says Nia also belly flopped Tiffany through a table. Well, that's why I said she didn't so much splash her off the apron as much as she sort of fell over onto her. And yes, she basically belly flopped her through a table. I did mention that. But she didn't win the match with it. But Tiffany was able to win the match here. She retains her title. So there was no cash-in. And I thought that there was a really good chance we were going to get one here. They didn't do it. The match itself, the match itself was nothing to write home about. I was actually disappointed. I was expecting a little bit more here from this match. It was your standard, WWE Extreme Rules match. You had tables and you had chairs and you had kendo sticks. Basically, what you saw here is what you're going to get tomorrow at Night of Champions between Rhea Ripley and Raquel Rodriguez. They're having a street fight. So the only difference is you'll have pinfalls and submissions in that match. You didn't have that here. Otherwise, basically, we're getting the same match tomorrow. Hopefully, it's better than this. I mean, this wasn't bad. It wasn't terrible. I was expecting more out of this, and I didn't get it. But at least this feud now between Tiffany and Nia has come to an end. For the love of God, I hope it's over. I mean, this has been going on long enough. It needs to be over. Nia has had some pretty good TV matches over the past year. I don't think this one was on the same level with those. It was fine, but it wasn't on the same level. And then they close the show. The final 3-hour SmackDown, which really wasn't 3 hours because of the outage. It was more like 2.5 hours. But the final 3-hour SmackDown, may it rest in piss, ended with John Cena and CM Punk. This was their final face-off before their WWE Championship match, their final championship match tomorrow at Night of Champions. Cena comes out. As soon as they hit his music, huge reaction. Huge reaction, loud John Cena sucks chants as he came down to the ring. Cena told everyone, Riyadh, get used to it. This is what a winner looks like. I am a winner. CM Punk is a loser. And there were loud cheers when he called CM Punk a loser. Because he's been outmaneuvered and he is out of tricks because I am a genius. Night of Champions is a formality and CM Punk can do nothing about it. And it was after this that we got this sight. I will throw it back up yet again. He was interrupted by his old doctor of thugonomics, Word Life theme music. On the big screen, they had a logo that read Punk Life. And out walked CM Punk, dressed like John Cena 2003. He was wearing a Chicago Cubs jersey. He was wearing the backwards ball cap, chain with the master lock on it around his neck, and 2 rings on each hand that read drug-free. And he comes down to the ring and he's doing the whole, you can't see me hand gesture. And I'm looking at this and I can't believe what I'm seeing. Because of all people, it's not like CM Punk can be described as far as like the different characters that we have on this show. CM Punk is not one of those guys that usually is out there doing jokey type segments. Like this is something you would expect R-Truth before he went all serious to come out and do. So to see Punk out there, who usually is very super serious and angry, to see him come out there dressed so ridiculously. I mean, he looked completely ridiculous. Like I said, this was it was very entertaining to me, more in a so bad it's good kind of way. Just looking at him out there dressed up like this and cosplaying as John Cena. But then he rapped. You haven't lived until you've heard CM Punk come out and rap. Are you ready for this? Because I wrote the whole thing down, as I'm sure CM Punk did, and he was furiously memorizing it all afternoon. He goes, yo, check it. This is basic punkonomics. Look, dude, I had secondhand embarrassment. Like, just from that first line. I had secondhand embarrassment from that first line. This is basic punkonomics, he said. This clown plagiarized my pipe bomb. So now I'm stealing Word Life. And you had to rip me off to cut your best promo just to distract from the fact that we all see you move in slow-mo. Remember when he used to rap? Yeah, he deserves all the criticism. He's like a Timu Macklemore, but with Mackle-less rhythm. Oh my God. Oh, I have to. If I do it for Sidro, I have to do it for him. If I do it for Sidro, then he deserves the same treatment here. Let me repeat that, okay? He's like a Timu Macklemore, but with Mackle-less rhythm. See, I think part of the problem here is especially with some of these lyrics. Like, this was not the place to be rapping some of these lyrics. I mean, honestly, though, I don't think this would have gotten over all that much better in front of a lot of American audiences. But, I mean, of all the places for some of these, like, burns that he had here in this promo, I don't think it worked quite as well here as maybe it would have worked somewhere else. Yes, thank you. JG in the chat mentioned the Acclaim. This, you know what this is? This would be like Max Caster coming out and doing his like as the funny heel that people are supposed to boo. This would be like Max Caster coming out and doing one of his raps. Punk looks like a thug from Chicago. Oh my God. So yes, we go from that. He goes, and Cena called me a problem. He called me a player hater. Let's be honest. John Cena's buried more talent than The Undertaker. That's why he's the champ, and he lost all his respects. But hey, John, I get it. I'd retire too if this place hired my ex. No reaction. That line did not get over in the way that they thought that it would. If you never said your prayers, ate your vitamins, or fixed your bald spot, you wouldn't be a pro wrestler. You'd be a Boston mall cop. I have to say it in the accent that he said. A Boston mall cop, he said. But hey, he gets good movie roles. That much is a fact. But then we see Batista act, and we realize that John ain't that. Now let me stop here. He really bungled a couple of lines. Like, he was stumbling over his words. And look, I couldn't do this, okay? Like, this whole rap that he had to memorize and everything, like, I'm not saying that I would have done a better job than he did, but he struggled here on these couple of lines. He was stammering and he was tripping over his words, so he kind of fucked it up a little bit, and it got no reaction. I think in part because of that. He said, same shirt, same hat. Man, your persona is straight tragic. You're like a fish belly white Hulk Hogan, but somehow more problematic. When it comes to best in the world, I'm your vessel, because millions chant my name, and at you, they chant, you can't wrestle. And that was the cue for all the fans to chant, you can't wrestle at John Cena. Get it in while you can. In 6 months, he'll be gone, and he'll still be here having fun, him being Punk. He won't have time for you little people anymore. He'll be busy washing underwears for James Gunn. He's a superhero now. He works for DC. But no matter how hard you try, you'll still always be the Marine to me. And that's straight to DVD. Better find a PS3. Oh my God, dude, I'm struggling to get, this is so horrible. This is even worse. Now that I'm reading it back, like, I was transcribing it in real time, but now that I'm reading it back, this is so bad. I'm sorry. Like, this is so bad. So, he goes, straight to DVD, better find a PS3. I now understand you can't see me. It's a hell of a catchphrase, John, but now it's all done because we all see you, and we're looking at a washed up bum. 14 years ago today, I dropped the legendary pipe bomb, and you tried to make it all about you, because that's what you do, John. You're a leech. You're a phony. You're a fraud. You're an ass kiss. 17-time world champion, but ain't never been in my class. Before you go, John, there's one more wish to make. Tomorrow night, you're going to lose to Kendrick. Oh, this right here. This right here. This parting line here was something. Tomorrow night, you're going to lose to Kendrick, because, bitch, you're my Drake. And then he extended his arm out. We got the mic drop, and he did the whole word life hand gesture. Wow. Well, that was certainly something. That was certainly something. I'll say this. I applaud the effort and him having to memorize all that. I don't know this for sure, but I'm 99% positive this was their idea. This didn't come from a writer. This didn't come from Triple H. This was all John Cena and CM Punk. They got together and they said, okay, Cena mimicked the pipe bomb last Friday, so now we're going to have Punk come out and do this. This may have even been Punk's idea and not even Cena's. I don't doubt that for a second. And I don't doubt that Cena is probably the one who wrote it for him. But, part of the problem here is that what makes CM Punk so great when it comes to his promos is the fact that he doesn't have to memorize a whole bunch of shit. He doesn't have to write a whole bunch of shit down. Like, for him, it just comes naturally. And that's why he's a master on the mic. I mean, he really is. He's one of the great promo guys in wrestling in the last 25 years. And there's a genuineness to it, a believability to it. Here, again, he was cosplaying as John Cena. And I get what they were doing here because of what happened last week. This was his revenge, right? You want to take from me? I'm going to take from you. And I'm going to throw it right back in your face. So I totally understood what they were going for here. But again, this will not go down as one of his best promos because it's not what makes CM Punk promos great. It's actually the exact opposite of what makes CM Punk such a great promo. And he did the best he could with it. Parts of it were kind of haha, but I don't know. I mean, look, I guess it was kind of funny to see him out there dressed like a clown, which honestly, anybody going out there dressed up like that that's not John Cena is going to basically look like a clown. John Cena can make it work because that was his gimmick for so long. Like when he brought back the Dr. Thugonomics stuff, my God, 13 years ago now, in the lead up to that first WrestleMania match with The Rock, right? People went crazy for it because we hadn't seen him in that incarnation in so long. And his promo on Rock was, that went a lot harder in on The Rock than Punk did. I mean, this promo here was downright PG, compared to some of the things that Cena was saying about The Rock in the lead up to their match at WrestleMania. So like he was burning that guy every week on TV. I think I felt that way at the time, but it's funny to go back because sometimes it'll pop up, my YouTube recommendeds, or I'll see something on social media. Just as a quick aside, like it is very noticeable to me when I look back on a lot of those promos leading up to WrestleMania 28, like just how much Cena outclassed The Rock on the mic. Like The Rock had his moments. Man, he really did. He got outclassed by The Rock, or The Rock did anyway, outclassed by Cena heading into that WrestleMania. So look, entertaining enough this segment was, but as far as taking from John Cena, he should give it back. I think he should wrap it up in a nice gift box, put a bow on it, and hand it right back to John Cena, and never do this again. This was not the final face-off that I was expecting from these two. They really built this up as this is it, right? We're going into what we presume is their final match at Night of Champions, unless they find a way to add Punk to the match at SummerSlam. I don't see them doing this again. So this was it. This was the final showdown here, the final face-off between these two. Not what I was expecting. Certainly not enough to save this show. This show was a whopping thumbs down. And that's with that really good tag team match with Andrade and Phoenix against DIY. This was a big thumbs down show for me. I mean, I'm sorry. I didn't like this show. But fear not. Fear not, because 2-hour SmackDowns are on the way. 2 hours does not make the show magically great, but it is a good first step. And the rest of it is going to be on Triple H. So coming out of Night of Champions, the build now begins in earnest for SummerSlam. I know we have Saturday night's main event before that, but really the build for SummerSlam begins this Monday. And we'll see what Triple H and his crew come up with because it's 2 nights this year. Remember, 2 nights SummerSlam for the first time ever. They have to build this up like it is the WrestleMania of the summer. We will know after tomorrow who will be challenging for the WWE Championship. We will know who will be challenging for the World Heavyweight Championship. Right? I mean, it all depends on, well, I guess it's Cody and Randy, so it's going to be for the WWE Championship because you're not allowed, it's not like the Rumble where you can choose the champion that you wrestle. So we will know after this weekend who John Cena will be defending against at SummerSlam. Let's run through this card here. As of this moment, they did not announce any real or any new matches for Night of Champions. It's pretty full as it is. I mean, we got 6, right? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we got 6 matches already. So they weren't adding anything to this show tomorrow. Here's the card. Night of Champions. Again, I'll be live on YouTube right after the show. So figure probably 4:30-ish. I'll be on YouTube tomorrow like I was here today. Sami Zayn against Karrion Kross. Sammy's going to get a big reaction when he comes out tomorrow. I don't see Sammy losing this one. Right? He lost to Randy last week. I don't see him losing to Karrion Kross. Good for Kross, though, getting a match on a PLE. It may be the only one he gets. Hopefully not. But I'm going with Sami Zayn. Rhea Ripley against Raquel Rodriguez. This will be a street fight. Rhea is going to pull out the win here. Jacob Fatu defends the United States Championship against Solo Sikoa. This will be a match where I do believe we get the debut of Hikuleo, or whatever name they're going to use for him. I think Solo is going to get a new heavy to add to his stable. I think he's going to win the U.S. title. And I think Jacob is going to have to chase to get it back. That's what I think. He's going to have to go through Hikuleo. He's going to have to go through JC Matteo. And eventually he'll be able to get his hands back on Solo. Maybe that's SummerSlam. It almost feels too soon, though, if you do that story. Maybe it'll be at SummerSlam, though. We'll see. Asuka and Jade Cargill, the finals of the Queen of the Ring. I'm going with Jade. I'd love to see Asuka win it. I think we're going to get Asuka and Io regardless. Jade Cargill is going to win Queen of the Ring. Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton didn't get their television time tonight in the ring for their big promo segment, but they will get plenty of time in the ring tomorrow. They will be in the King of the Ring final. This is a match I've been waiting for a while, since Cody came back to the company. We're going to get it. It's the first of what I think will be several. It's the first match that you can use here to kick off what will be a longer-term feud between these two. I don't see Randy Orton winning this match. I cannot see it. The match has been done. Orton had his match in St. Louis with Cena. It's over. He's not going to SummerSlam to wrestle for this championship. I just can't see it. He's going to lose King of the Ring 2 years in a row. Cody Rhodes is going to win. That's how he gets his rematch with John Cena, who is in the main event, defending the WWE Championship against CM Punk. If anybody can bring John Cena to the best match that he has had yet since coming back, it is CM Punk. If anybody can bring the best out of this man in the ring, whatever he's got left in him, it is CM Punk. I'm expecting them to go out there and have one last memorable match. I don't want to use that word classic because I don't want to go into this thinking that we're going to get what we got from them in 2013 or what we got from them in 2011. They're both a lot older. It's a different time now. Cena will do what he can do. I'm trying to temper my expectations, but I truly do believe that if you were to put John Cena in the ring with anybody on this roster, who is going to give him the best possible match? It is CM Punk. You throw in a red-hot crowd, which I think this match will have, and it has the makings of what should be something special. But John Cena is not losing his title in Saudi. He's not losing his title in Saudi, and I'm not expecting there to be a Seth Rollins Money in the Bank cash-in. I will say this, though. If Seth Rollins tries to cash in his Money in the Bank, I think it's foiled by Roman Reigns. I don't know that it's going to happen on this show tomorrow, but if it does, I don't think it'll be successful. But John Cena will still be the champ. And that's your lineup. Let's check this Twitter poll, shall we? Let's see. What did you think of SmackDown from Riyadh? 64. Now, not everybody has watched the show yet, so these are from the people that have actually watched. 64.4% thumbs up, 35.6% thumbs down. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. I didn't think this was a thumbs up show. But they'll be just a little bit shorter starting next week. I can't wait. Can't wait. Of course, that means we'll be live on YouTube an hour earlier going forward as well, which is not a bad thing. Especially for the international folks. It still may be very late where they are, but I feel like it may give some of you guys maybe more of a chance to tune in live if I go live a little bit earlier. All right, let's check out your super chats. We are at 352 likes. So if you do want to get Be the Booker here on this stream, we still need about 50 more. So hit that like button. Otherwise, we're going to have to try again tomorrow during the Night of Champions review. Boy, Be the Booker is getting very lonely this week. The Mount Vernon Kid. Let's start with him. Shall we? Christopher Bennett. It couldn't just be me. But as soon as Alistair came in with the GMs, I said to myself, no, he is not asking for a restart of a meaningless match. His match with Kit Wilson. No, I don't think he wants Kit Wilson back in the ring. I don't think that's the case. We got Ryu 10 Ken. No, I didn't, Ryu. I didn't. Can't blame me for the outage. We got Manu Kala. Seth Rollins' faction should be called the Seth Riders. First time catching Solo live here in Finland. I like that. We go from the Death Riders to the Seth Riders. Let's hope it never gets quite that bad. You popped me with that one, though. The Seth Riders. Oh, man. Holiday 197. Hi, Solo. I would not be opposed to extending the Cena-Punk feud until Saturday night's main event. Not interested in a Cody-Cena rematch at SummerSlam given their WrestleMania match. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not at all excited for that match anyway, but we're getting it, and Cody has to get his win back or else he looks like a total puss. So SummerSlam just seems like the logical destination. They could run Cena and Punk back if there's some indecisive finish tomorrow on Saturday night's main event. I mean, they're really building that show around Goldberg's retirement match, so they don't need 2 championship matches on that show, but they could. You know, they could do a rematch there. I would think, though, that if they have, let's say, a failed cash-in by Seth or something like that, it could also be a way to not have to beat Punk. Like if he cashes in during the match, you know what I mean? And maybe if they want to avoid having Cena just straight up kick Punk in the balls and pin him, then they probably wouldn't want to run it back again. They might just want to do it once and then just get out of there. Melee King 6 with a $5 super chat. What's going on, Melee King? My girlfriend told me that her father is mad because I took her virginity. I called her father and said, it won't happen again. P.S. Been doing better. Been doing better. Is that Sidro? Sidro, is that you? Why is your name different? Fire Panda, 33 months of channel membership. So Lola Vice went to a Yankees game with Damian Priest, and boy oh boy, were dudes pissed. I guess Priest only hangs out with beautiful women. First Lana, then Caden, and now Lola. Damian Priest strikes again. Yes, apparently Damian Priest and Lola Vice are an item. Good for him. So, Melee King is Sidro. Okay. He says YouTube, LOL. Okay, well. Yeah, I mean, you could blame YouTube for a lot of stuff. All right, well. It's a good thing now I know. I had no idea. Bobby's World gifted a channel membership to Dropkick Ego. Thank you, Bobby. Bobby. We got Ace Italiano, 88 with a 1999. My early predictions for SummerSlam are Punk versus Rollins, which will be their blow-off. Cody versus Cena and Reigns against Breakker, because Roman is taking time off after SummerSlam, so he can't beat Rollins. Also, Punk still has beef with well, yeah, but Rollins can beat him. Could have Roman and Seth beats Roman. If they're going to put the World Heavyweight Championship on Seth, what bigger way to give him momentum than by giving him a win over the Tribal Chief heading into his championship reign? Unlike the alleged momentum that AR Fox had heading into Dynamite on Wednesday, which involved no wins. evidently you can have momentum without actually winning a match. I didn't know that. See, I learned something new every Wednesday during Dynamite. Joseph Brooks, cherish, keep, borrow, sell on these versions of DX. The original, the DX Army from 98 to 99, and the Helmsley Regime, 99 to 2000, and the Reunion, 06 to the present. I got to put DX Army, 98, at number 1. After that, I would put the Helmsley Regime, then the original, and then the Reunion on the bottom. I didn't care for the Reunion. I didn't like the Reunion. I thought the Reunion was lame. Oh, here he is. Melee King. This is Sidro, by the way. YouTube is fucked up. LOL. Did you know your pupils are the last part to stop working when you die? They die late. They die late. I see. Also, I was shocked. Oh, look, Uncle Saudi is with us. How appropriate. Welcome, Uncle Saudi. He was actually on SmackDown tonight. He was sitting right there in the aisleway in his rocking chair. I was shocked to find out my son had an AI girlfriend. He told me he was dating a model. And I got the words jacuzzi and yakuza confused. Now I'm in hot water with the Japanese mafia. Uh-oh, you don't want to be in hot water with those guys. The Russian mob and the yakuza. You don't want to mess with either one of those guys. Ace Italiano, what's your thoughts on Vicky Guerrero coming back to WWE TV? Me personally, I don't... What are you talking about? She's coming back to WWE TV? Where are you hearing this? Hold on a second here. No, I don't know. I don't know if she said something on social media. This is the first I'm hearing of it. I hope not. I have no real interest in seeing her back on TV, so I hope not. Unless it's some sort of like one-off cameo for some reason. Oh, Ace Italiano is Nick Grosso. What is going on with YouTube? It's changed everybody's name. Did someone cut the YouTube feed? The same person who cut the SmackDown feed, I think, cut the YouTube feed. It changed everybody's name. Everybody got a name change. I think Vince McMahon has taken over here. Everyone got a name change. Nick Grosso, I have to tell you, Ace Italiano is a pretty cool name. You should keep it. So yeah, I mean, as far as my thoughts on that, okay, so apparently it was a Fightful report about Vicky Guerrero coming back. I'll have to look into this. It does nothing for me. I don't care. Luis says, wait, what? Solomonster live at 2:22 p.m. Pacific time. I'm still at work. Good. Well, now you could stop what you're doing at work and you can listen to me and Brie mode. Listen to Brie. Deep, delicious chicken and turkey 6-7. Boy, everyone's names have been fucked up here. Give me Asuka versus Io Sky at SummerSlam. Let Naomi distract Jade Cargill. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. Bobby's World with another gifted membership. This one to Broken Kayfabe. Sidro, what does a hot dog use for protection? Condiments. Ah-ha. Condiments. Ah-ha-ha-ha. Thank you. Also, what do a hot... Oh, I already said that. No, it got sent twice. So nice. I had to say it twice, but I won't. JP says, I mean, a Vicky and Dom segment would be interesting. It would be interesting. I don't want to see her managing Dom, though, or anything like that. I have no interest in that. Nor does he need it. Holiday. Thoughts on the rumors of TKO considering moving WWE headquarters to Vegas when their lease in Connecticut expires? Maybe they could finally have a WWE Hall of Fame museum. I did see that report. I mean, I don't think their lease is up for like 26 years or something.
By the power of Valhalla,
16 years, 26 years?
Vintage Coal Tar.
Coal Tar making an appearance. I don't think their lease is up for many years, so I don't think that's anything that's imminent. Unless they're going to try to break their lease. They just moved into this place. I mean, I don't think they own the building, but they just moved in there. I'm not surprised, though. I mean, that is basically, it's home base for the UFC. I think it would be more convenient, I guess, from the TKO end to be based out there. I don't know how convenient that would be for the people who work in Titan Tower. But, I mean, it kind of feels like an inevitability. Probably would make things a little more streamlined, you know, for the overall organization. If it does lead to the creation of a physical Hall of Fame, I think that's a good thing. That's something they should have had a long time ago. Long overdue. You know, they have that WWE World exhibit over there in Saudi, which looks really cool. There's no reason they shouldn't have something like that in the States. The Mount Vernon Kid. The New Yorker in me sides with Priest about Alistair. Yeah, I didn't mention that. That's right. There was a very brief backstage segment with Damian Priest and Alistair Black, where Priest took issue with him basically ambushing R-Truth and saying maybe you should do it to his face next time. So they're building tension between Black and Priest. So now, I mean, to go back to what I said earlier, you know, you've got Alistair Black, who supposedly has impressed a lot of people behind the scenes. His merch is selling well. He may be featured more prominently. He's now got two issues going simultaneously, one with Truth and one with Priest. Because he really hasn't done a whole lot yet. And now it feels like he's finally going to have a real story going forward. Deep Delicious Chicken and Turkey. This dried chicken here has a question about the Wyatt 6. Where's the imagination? I don't know. I mean, they came back and, you know, we're getting the same entrance and presentation, but outside of that one VHS promo a couple weeks ago from Uncle Howdy, I mean, there's not a whole lot of imagination to what they've done since they came back. Hot Rock Hudson. I wonder who this is. Hot Rock Hudson. Punk looked like the how do you do fellow kids meme. He seemingly won the crowd over with the Hogan dig, though. Well, everybody hates Hogan, so I mean, that's an easy pop. How do you do, fellow children? Bobby's World, man, look, he is on a roll here. Gifted membership to Mystery Skate Decks. Sam from Alabama, 10. Has Jimmy made it off Gilligan's Island yet? Well, he was on the show tonight. He may make an appearance tomorrow, so I think he has. I think he has ventured to new shores. We shall see if he's on the show again next week. Joseph Brooks, just like you did with HBK many years ago, buy or sell on the two periods of Bryan Danielson's career. First run in WWE from 2009 to 2016, or his second run, WWE into AEW. His second run. Some of the matches that he has had since leaving WWE in the second half of his career. I mean, whether it's the Kenny Omega match at Arthur Ashe, the Iron Man match with MJF, the matches with Okada, including the Tokyo Dome. I I mean, he's had a hell of a run, you know, for a guy who thought his career was over and was told, you know, you're never going to wrestle again. He had a hell of a second run there. Eminem with a $25 super chat. It's Friday evening and Bree hasn't gotten on her drink yet, or her drink on. It sucks that the WWE women have to be fully clothed, but the way they wear it is mighty good. If Seth cashes in at Saturday night's main event, will it be Punk or Jay that goes first? Will it be Punk or Jay? Oh, that goes after the title. That's a good question. Like, who would challenge Seth, I guess, at SummerSlam? Probably Punk. Seth and Punk is a much bigger match. Even though it's been done already, Seth and Punk is a much bigger match. We are at 403, by the way, on the like. So we will be doing Be the Booker. You guys did it. You came through. You came through. We got Fiji Finesser. Like, these names really are messed up. Fiji Finesser 1. Could somebody like Cross elevate the Wyatt 6? I don't think Cross needs the Wyatt. Keep him away from the Wyatt 6. Let Cross do his own thing. Putting him in the Wyatt 6 is going to drag him down into the muck. You know, he did the group thing with the Final Testament. It didn't work. Let him sink or swim on his own. I don't want him attached to the Wyatt 6. Fire Panda. YouTube had an update, I guess. And now the names in the live chat are the same as how they appear in the comments of the videos. It is very, very stupid. It is very stupid. Hopefully they will fix that. Holiday 197. Curious if you've seen the movie They Live with Roddy Piper. Of course I have. God, what kind of question is that? Holiday, come on. I've talked about it on the podcast before. It's a cult classic. He's pretty good in the film and could have had a decent acting career in action movies. Well, I mean, he was in some other movies as well. As much as I love They Live, for every They Live, there's also a Hell Comes to Frogtown. But I enjoy Piper in the movie Body Slam. He was a decent actor. But yeah, They Live is great. I love it. The fight scene with him and Keith David in the alley. It's one of the all-time great fight scenes. Bobby's World, another gifted membership to Manu Hakala. Eminem with 5 gifted memberships. Look at that. Trying to match up to what Bobby's done so far. And the Juliet says happy anniversary to the Pipe Bomb. Only in wrestling will the fan base wish a happy anniversary to a pipe bomb. But that's what makes wrestling so special. What a weird business.
Look at Richie Rich over here dropping all this money on me. Hey, I just want you to know.
Look who it is.
I think you rock. I don't mean The Rock, A Rock. You rock. And I just wanted you to know that.
Havili. Oh my God, a $130 super chat. 200 Aussie. It's 130 US. Havili with the red bomb here, coming in the clutch. What's up, Solomonster? How you doing? Today it is Saturday, the 28th of June in Brisbane, Australia. Trying to show you and JD some love, but YouTube wouldn't let me. Well, you came through loud and clear here. Favorite movie hero and villain. Favorite movie villain. There's a lot of different choices. I definitely like Heath Ledger's Joker, but I don't know that I can rank anybody above Alan Rickman in the first Die Hard. Hans Gruber. I got to go Hans Gruber. Favorite hero is interesting. Favorite hero in a movie. Alex Murphy. I might have to go RoboCop. Now, if you want to expand the villain part to like horror movies, now you're talking about Michael Myers. I'll stick with Hans Gruber, though. Was Alberto Del Rio supposed to win the World Championship at WrestleMania 27 before the match order change? I don't believe so, no. I don't remember ever hearing that. So I'm going to say no. Havili, thank you. Everybody with the bomb comments in the chat, man. Havili. Saving the bomb here for the very end. Now, I mentioned that we did hit the likes goal. And so we did not get to do this on Wednesday, but we get to do it now. It is time to be the booker.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to be the booker.
Yes, indeed. Yes, it is. I like the early be the bookers here. 6:20 on a Friday. We're doing be the booker. And I get to go have some Chinese food. I'm going to get Chinese food tonight. I'm going to treat myself to some Chinese order in. Let's do tag team be the booker, shall we? Got a lot of tag teams in here. No tag team division is quite as stacked as our tag team division. And we begin with the APA. Farouk and Bradshaw. You need protection. You don't go to Trojan. You go to these two guys. They're going to be stepping into the ring with, oh boy, it is El Torito and Los Matadors. Los Matadors against the... What would the APA do to these two bastards? My God. This would be a massacre. What would they do to the Bull? I think they would castrate the Bull. That's what they would do. It would not end well for the Bull. It would not. Women's Be the Booker, we have Emma. Emma is going to go one-on-one with Ivory. Man, I am not feeling this Be the Booker here. We finally activated it, and look at what is going on here. This is terrible. This is terrible. It's like we're booking an episode of Main Event here. This is not what I was hoping for. We got one left. You got to try to make the most of it. We begin with Ministry Undertaker. This is Undertaker with his look here from 1999. I could just look at a photo and know what year it's from. 1999 Undertaker, which was not my favorite version of The Undertaker. In fact, it's probably one of my least favorite versions of The Undertaker. I know that's sacrilegious to some people, but probably my least favorite incarnation of him. Ministry Undertaker. Against Yokozuna. Well, at least we got one. I have always, and I can't even really explain it, I've always had a soft spot for the Undertaker-Yokozuna feud. Now, that was not Ministry Undertaker. That was many years earlier, like 5 years earlier. And in the image here, Yokozuna is just, he's beyond obese. I mean, he's this image right here. It probably was from 96, but I mean, this was at a point where his health was not good. He was a lot more mobile when he was in the ring feuding with Undertaker in 93 and 94. But that feud they had, I enjoyed going back and watching their matches. I'm not saying that they're technical masterpieces or anything, but Undertaker and Yokozuna, I got to give that the bell. I can't give that the buzzer. I enjoyed their feud. All right, so tomorrow, it's going to be a big day because we have live coverage of Night of Champions. As soon as the event is over on Peacock, come back here to the YouTube channel. Hopefully all these names will be fixed. YouTube gets its act together. And we got to talk about a big main event here. The last match between John Cena and CM Punk. Who goes over? Who's the king? Who's the queen? Talk all about it tomorrow afternoon, live right here on the channel. Of course, we also have Sound Off episode 918 coming up on Sunday. So that's going to be a big show. We had a huge show last weekend. It's like 2.5 hours long. Hopefully it won't be quite that long this weekend. But I appreciate all the support. You guys are great. I know some people were missing in action because I did not give a big heads up that I was going live as early as I did. I mentioned something at the end of the night on Wednesday, but we'll get back to normal next week after Monday, because Monday's another earlier stream, so just be aware of that. Raw starts at 6, which means it'll probably end around 8:30. I'll be live around 9 o'clock. So sometime, give or take, around 9 p.m., I will be back here with you live on YouTube for Raw, and then after that, things pretty much go back to normal. So there you go. Lucy Adams says, I miss Tonga Loa. Hey, Lucy Adams, is that Tonga Loa superfan? I think you just... have you been exposed? Darth Vader has to be top 3 villains all time. He probably would be on a lot of people's list, I would imagine. We found Tonga Loa. I think we did. I think we found Tonga Loa superfan. Lucy. All right. Be well. Stay safe. I'm going to go grab some dinner. Get ready for the big show tomorrow. And I will see you back here in less than 24 hours. Right back here on the channel for more live Sound Off. So until then, take care, guys.